Just a big FYI before we get started here, the following video is going to be mostly spoiler-free. I will not be diving into any major story details that could possibly ruin the overall experience of the game. However, I will be talking about major aspects of the game, including its gameplay, general plot, design, yada yada yada. I will not be talking about any big major spoilers, so don't panic, don't freak out, I'm just gonna tell you what you need to know. But if you don't want to know anything about Persona 5, why the heck did you click on this video in the first place? Okay, moving on. So I just beat Persona 5, and let me tell you, it has been an absolute roller coaster waiting for this game. From the game being delayed to the point that it's a meme that haunts me in my dreams, and screaming about this game for the last year on my channel, it's finally out, and I beat it, and I can die happy. But because Persona 5 is a really important game to me personally and my community, I just want to give you my thoughts, my feelings, my obnoxious, loud, yelling voice about all these beautiful people. Now, for the sake of getting a few points across and whatnot, I will be comparing Persona 5 to the past games in the series an awful lot. Mainly because, yeah, this is the 5th game in the series, and Persona games are mega similar. So past games have set the standard for what to expect, and comparisons are kind of inevitable, so bear with me. Now, just FYI for all you lovely people who have no idea what this game is, and all you've seen are flashy anime dudes and that freaking cat that screams at you to go to sleep, do not panic, do not worry. If you want to make Persona 5 your first Persona game, you can. The games are not directly connected to each other, as in like new story, new characters, yeah. The games technically take place in the same universe, but details, no one really cares about that. Basically, the structure and the general setup are always the same, it's just a different location and scenario, so by no means do you need to know past stuff. The game is a standalone title, technically. But anyway, enough of my yapping, let's talk about Persona 5 Take My Money Edition, featuring the color red and these cuties. Before we really jump in, to give you some background info, Persona is a part of a larger franchise known as Shin Megami Tensei, which has been around for a long time, and a lot of JRPG series are under its umbrella, and for many people, SMT is their pride and joy. Since the games are known for being deep, complicated, difficult, and because of that, there's this underlining smugness and, dare I say, elitist attitude associated with these games. And while most of the titles share common themes, ideas, gameplay styles, yada yada yada, the Persona games have kinda turned into SMT's most recognizable and popular series. At this point, Persona has become its own entity, and while it is a part of SMT technically, unlike Personas 1 through 4, P5 didn't even bother to display it is a part of SMT, and I think that's a testimony that Persona 5 has really solidified the series as its own thing, since it's Atlus's most anticipated game in, well, ever, honestly. I have you seen the hype around this game? Good God. Real talk, what's interesting about Persona 5 is that while it is the next evolution in the Persona series, it is not all that different from past Persona games, and what was once seen as that weird anime game your cousin won't shut up about, it is now being viewed by a lot of people as a massive AAA Sony exclusive that shot the X-Bone somewhere in a field with a cannon, but in reality, this is still a very niche game. But let's answer the big question. Is Persona 5 good? Yes, it's fantastic. Even though P5 has had a troubled and long development, God bless, the game has dodged the "oh dear God, what happened" bullet, and P5 is 100% solid. I can finally sigh and put my hands up in the air. Praise be to God, it was worth the wait! It is a complete game. It is jam-packed with content. Nothing feels cut, and the whole thing feels like it was made with passion and love. If you like JRPGs, this is a must-play. It is a worthy installment in the Persona series for sure. Now, if you're not into JRPGs and want to give this a shot, I do recommend watching to the end of my video, first of all, and second, know that this game requires commitment. If you ain't down with playing this game until your eyeballs sink into your head or wearing a diaper to get through it in 1 week, probably not for you. Persona 5 is long, probably the longest in the series. My first playthrough, I played on normal mode, and it took me 110 hours to reach the true ending, and I did not see everything. Heck, I even rushed the game in some areas, because sometimes I don't want to listen to some ding-dong blah-blah about their petty problems. Oh my God, shut up! I have stuff to do! Also, keep in mind, guys, that's a 110-hour campaign, as in just the story. To put this into perspective, Persona 3 was about 80 hours, and then Persona 4 Golden was about 70 hours. So, do the math. And yes, Persona 5 does do that thing where you can accidentally end the game like 20 hours prematurely if you mess up, and yes, I did get the bad ending at first, and it wasn't fun, let me tell you. But in order to really see everything in this game, you are looking at either multiple playthroughs or a 300+ hour save file and the patience of a god. So I can easily say Persona 5 is worth $60 considering how much you're getting. Of course, by now you probably heard people clamor on that Persona 5 is the greatest JRPG of all time. Yeah, we've all heard that before, okay? This is nothing new. But is Persona 5 the greatest game of all time and the best Persona ever? Hey? honestly, it's just subjective. I mean, first of all, there is no such thing as the greatest game ever. That's just a myth people made up for top 10 videos, but I can't say it is the best Persona either. People enjoy Persona for different reasons, and while I think P5 does improve a ton of aspects of past games and does things considerably better and pushes the series forward, making it truly next-gen, it doesn't blow the other games out of the water, and in some cases, past games have done stuff better. It just depends on what you like and what you're looking at. I say Persona 5 is a strong contender for the best Persona, but that's just up to personal preference. Now, if we're just talking about my personal preference, Persona 5 is my favorite Persona game so far, mainly because of the concept and the color theme, because I love the Phantom Thief stuff. I love the black and red. I think it's so stylish and beautiful, and I just relate to P5 more on a personal level. I connect to it easier than I did Persona 3 and 4. Also, the game is just really freaking good, if that helps, but that's just me. Of course, the game is not perfect, and I do have some issues with some minor stuff since my natural state is complaining about things because I'm bitter, but considering how much Persona 5 does right, most of my problems can just be described as nitpicks and don't really take away from the game at all. I played it for 10 plus hours straight a day, and I didn't get tired of it, so that should tell you something. But if you have no clue what the hecky Persona 5 is and wondering if it's worth your time and the game for you, let's get down to the bare basics. What kind of game is this anyway? To be blunt, Persona 5 is a story-heavy, linear, turn-based combat JRPG. Now, the catch with Persona is that the gameplay is totally split. On one side, you got the average Joe Schmo high schooler life simulator aspect where you make friends, go hang out with them, go to movies, work at a job, go to school, yeah. But the other half of the game is like Whiplash, where you infiltrate these things called palaces, which gradually unlock as the story progresses, and you make your way through floors, solve puzzles, kill enemies, and eventually beat the boss, and a bunch of story stuff happens, and then you do it all over again. Yeah, this is kind of how Persona games go. Now, the game is very story-focused and linear since time moves on a day-to-day basis, but it does give you some leeway as to how you spend your time, since certain actions take up chunks of time out of the day. So if you played a Persona game before, none of this is new, but time management is really the main focus here, and P5 does have a lot going on, and truth be told, it can be kind of overwhelming. The game has by far the most options when it comes to how to spend your time, and even though this game is super mega ultra duper long, it has great pacing. None of the activities I did ever felt tedious, whether it be hanging out with a friend or making your way through a palace. The game goes by fast since you feel like you're making progress in whatever you do. Persona 3 had this issue where nothing would happen for days on end, and you can kill an entire month and jack crap would change, and it was like entering the void. But because of how Persona 5 decided to unveil its story, things always feel like stuff is happening. Of course, the first 10 hours of the game feel like a massive tutorial. Is a little slow in some areas, but at least you're playing throughout all of it, as compared to Persona 4's perfect, totally not slow and dragged out opening that takes 4 hours for anything to happen. So it's better than that by a mile if you ask me. Now, the one thing I think Persona 4 does better than P5 is the little story events. In Persona 4, the day-to-day monotony was broken up with small story events where you go and hang out with your friends at festivals, school trips, dinners, town meetups, yeah. And while Persona 5 has these, they aren't as memorable or as frequent as I wanted them to be. This may have something to do with the more grounded, serious tone Persona 5 has gone for versus Persona 4, which is all rainbows, puppies, and sunshine and glitter on top despite the whole murder thing. But the events in P4 were just, well, more fun and showed off the characters a lot more. Because in Persona 5, they don't feel that eventful and they are kind of short. Not gonna lie, I was disappointed by the school trip and a few other things. Heck, even Persona 3 had some more event stuff going on that shook things up, like that week where you go to the movie festival with your friends and you can pick and choose who to go with. But Persona 5 doesn't have anything like that. Granted, the game is filled with great moments that made me smile with pure innocent joy, but I do feel like there is a lack of special events. But I guess the game makes up for it by having so much to pick from activities-wise. But who cares about events and pacing when you can kill God with the power of friendship? And Persona 5's gameplay and combat is definitely the biggest change and improvement to the series by far. In past Persona games, you would enter randomly generated dungeons, run around, climb floors till you reach the top, fight dudes, kill the boss, and you're done. In Persona 3, it was just one super tall tower, and Persona 4, it was a bunch of different dungeons with different themes, but for the most part, they all played exactly the same. Now, Persona 5 takes this concept and kicks it off a cliff, sorta, kinda, not really, but the main dungeons, aka palaces of the game, are no longer randomly generated and are now handcrafted, pre-designed, and just way better because of it. The game has over 6 palaces, and each one is unique, has special quirks, has a variety of puzzles to progress, and it is always a blast to explore and see for the first time since they look cool as hell. Getting around palaces is also different and more importantly fun. In past games, all you could really do is just run and hit stuff, but P5 has introduced controlled platforming, stealth, action set pieces, and running around dungeons feels like Japanese Sly Cooper of all things. It's honestly really impressive because it is such a massive jump from Persona 3 and 4's gameplay. I feel very involved when running around the dungeons. I feel like I'm playing an actual person. So I can say this is the most fun I've had playing a Persona game because it's just got a lot of spice. Of course, if you like the randomly generated dungeon stuff, there is a thing called Mementos that acts just like past games where you can do side missions, and that is always available if you want to hit that grind. So the game gives you options. You have handcrafted dungeons versus randomly generated dungeons. A little bit of old, a bunch of new. Now, a big change is that once a palace is beat, you can't go back to it for story reasons, so the pressure is on to explore all you can. And I wish you could go back to them, but at the same time, I get why you can't. So there's that. And the new changes to the dungeons and the gameplay aren't totally perfect. Getting the jump on enemies does require you to stealth and hide behind stuff, and it's really freaking cool when you swoosh up and start a fight, but the stealth doesn't work all the time. And often I feel like I'm fighting the camera when hiding behind stuff, and changing location can make it even worse. And it can be a real hassle to get the thing to do what you want it to do. If the game just let me rotate the camera more so I can get the enemies in my sights, I would have liked that a lot better than having it just stubbornly not move, then I have to pop out of hiding to fix it, and the dude is standing right there because I didn't see him. Do you see the problem, guys? The point is, when it works, it's great, and when it doesn't, it's frustrating. Honestly, that is my only complaint about the movement gameplay. That's honestly it. Just let me rotate the camera, gosh dang it. But other than that, I absolutely love the new movement gameplay. It's fantastic. But the dungeon crawling is not the only thing that got a major improvement. Turn-based combat is a staple of the series, and it's back and better than ever. The normal stuff is still here. You got physical attacks, magic, stealth, weaknesses, and your trusty personas to give you different abilities. We have seen this stuff before. But P5 brings back a feature of other Shin Megami Tensei games that has not been seen in Persona 3 and 4, and that is negotiations. If you manage to exploit enemy weaknesses, you can talk to enemies to give you stuff or to join your Persona pack if you manage to respond in a way the demon likes. Now, this thing is great, and I love it since talking to enemies can be absolutely hilarious, but I like this better than the card minigame in Persona 3 and 4 because you feel like you have more of a connection to your personas and they got major attitude, and it feels like gaining them is earned rather than luck and your ability to time and follow cards. On top of that, Persona 5 has brought back the guns ability as seen in Persona 2, and while they are only useful in specific situations since ammo is limited, it's a nice gameplay element that gives you more options. Also, it's just badass as hell to mow down dudes. I live on the edge. Hashtag don't tread on me. They also added a thing called Baton Pass, which lets you give an extra turn to a party member to help knock down more enemies, and it's great, and it's useful, and that's the kind of innovation I've been looking for. Seriously, this thing is really nice. But by far, the best change in the combat is buttons. The game uses all the buttons. It's great. No longer do you have to just scroll through menus. Oh god, it's so good. Japan finally figured out that the controller has more than 3 buttons. Praise be to God! Not to mention, changing personas is flashy, and it's fast of all things. And oh god, it's just, oh, the game's combat is slick and thoughtful and feels real nice. And not to spoil anything, but Persona 5 does do this neat thing in boss fights where you can send off a party member to mess with the boss in some kind of way. And it's a great risk versus reward system since you're down a man, but if you hold out long enough, you'll have a huge advantage, and it makes bosses feel really unique as compared to just some beefed up enemy. Now, like I said, the gameplay is split between the palaces and the real world, but Persona 5 makes sure that the things you do in the real world really affect the game's combat. When in the real world, you'll be able to hang out with people, and the more you hang out with them, you will build up their confidant level. Now, this thing used to be called social links, and I'ma call them social links because that's what they are. They are social links. But leveling up the social link with people, 1, lets you get to know your favorite characters more, and 2, gives you special perks in combat. And holy crap, are these things useful! Different social links give you different perks, but they are beyond helpful, and I have never felt more inclined to hang out with people. They are just that good. Like, you got ones that give you discounts on really good items, XP bonuses, making negotiations way easier, being able to hold high-level personas, cutting the amount of time things take up in a day, and the list goes on and on and on. But depending on where you put your time, you can borderline break the game, and it's nuts! You see, past games really didn't do this. Most social links would just give you an XP bonus when making new personas, and that's really it. So the fact that social links are ultra useful now is great. It really encourages you to talk to as many people as possible, and I love it. It mixes the two gameplay worlds super well. Now, because there is so much to keep track of and how many mechanics this game game throws at you, if you are new to JRPGs, especially Shin Megami Tensei, you are going to be overwhelmed real fast. Of course, I've played many SMT games before, so I know what I'm doing, but real talk, this game is not easy. I wouldn't say it's hard if you're experienced and you can change the difficulty at any time, but Persona 5 will punish the crap out of you if you do not put your time in the right things or do not understand how Persona weaknesses work. This game does not mess around. Now, I can't say I didn't find any of the bosses too terribly hard. I didn't get killed by any of them, but when walking around the palaces, I did get careless and it did cause me to die, so you really have to be on your A game if you want to get through this game completely untouched. Now, I would say that the game is very grindy considering how the palaces are paced and whatnot, and Mementos gives you a chance to level up at your own pace instead of being thrown into a meat grinder, but just know, you might have a really tough time with this game if you are new to this. But who cares about combat when safe mode exists, am I right? The reason people deal with Persona's grind is because of the story. I can't stress this enough, but Persona 5 is story heavy, as in like truck ton denser than the freaking earth story heavy. Now, I won't dive into any spoilers at all, or stuff that isn't already public knowledge, but the general plot is you some high schooler with a baby minor criminal record. You get some weird app on your phone that lets you go into the hearts of people who are, to be blunt, assholes, and infiltrate their palace Phantom Thief juiced up Persona style. Steal their treasure they keep in their hearts, and then they stop doing all the bad stuff. You're gonna meet lots of people, stuff happens, the fate of the world rests on your shoulders, the power of friendship flows within you, bada bing, bada boom. You got yourself a solid Persona plot. Now, obviously, the story is kind of wacky and very anime, and you do need to roll with some of the weird stuff, but P5's story is incredibly gripping, mainly because of how it chooses to unfold. You start the game off like near the end, and you work your way backwards up until that point in flashback, so within the first few minutes, Persona 5 shows you its true colors, and your curiosity is automatically grabbed. It works great and it had me on board instantly, and also hello there, handsome. But the plot is full of twists and turns, the general attitude of the game is great, I love the theme of freedom and rebellion, it's a message you see throughout, and while some twists you can see coming a mile away, some will catch you by surprise, and you'll always have the question in your mind, what happens once we reach the part where the game started? Now, Persona 5 has a lot of spice and flair, especially with all that blinding red, but the game does not pull punches and is pretty dark. SMT games have been known to deal with dark themes, and a lot of people claim that Persona 3 and 4 aren't real dark, but I think Persona 5 is going back to its roots. The game's tone isn't particularly dark, but the things that happen are, and stuff gets super real fast, and it stays that way. The game is pretty grounded for the most part and more relatable because characters' reactions are real and people get mad and desperate. Basically, I get why they chose the color red, if that makes sense. Overall, though, I love the plot. I love the thieves concept. Everything about Persona 5 feels like it works. Of course, the plot does hit a lot of the same notes as Persona 4 in my opinion, and many of the characters feel like revamped versions of P4s, but I do like them just as much. Actually, I would say the entire Persona 5 cast is likable as compared to Persona 4, where certain characters could really get on your nerves after a while. But on the other hand, Persona 4 does feel like it has more fleshed out characters since the story really dove deep into each person for reasons, but P5's cast is just as interesting. I mean, diving into their characters is really more of a choice now since you can level up their social links if you want to know more. Also, let's just get this out of the way because you know it's coming, but An is best. Honestly, I am not super sure here because Makoto is also great and I have conflicting emotions. Oh my god, this just shows how the waifu wars have evolved. But also a reminder that Futaba is 15 and you're gross. Also, Haru's here. Say hi, Haru! Oh, she's so sweet. Now, I really don't want to get deep into the characters that much because of spoiler reasons, but I can say that Persona 5's protag is the most characterized the main character has ever been, and it's a welcome change. The main character, codenamed Joker, is full of sass, and I love him. Other Persona main characters were just the same bland, charismatic dude to kind of project your also bland self onto, but Persona 5's dude has history. He is an established troublemaker, and it's great. Also, I want that jacket. I want it! It looks great on him. I love him so much. But you know what wraps Persona 5 into a perfect little bow? Its looks, its music, its gosh diddly dang aesthetics. This game has so much style, it will kick you in the face, run you over with a car, and you would thank it after. That's how cool everything looks. The graphics themselves are fine, and everything is a lot more cinematic now compared to Persona 3 and 4. The game is technically made in a beefed up Catherine engine, an exclusive puzzle game for the PlayStation 3 after all, so it's not going to win any awards for textures or something, but keep in mind that graphics are not what makes the game look good. You can render a poop at 300 frames per second at 4K, but it's still crap. What makes the game look good is its art direction, and every detail of Persona 5 is just, oh, it's gorgeous, it's badass, everything is cool, the menus, the loading screens. Have you ever seen something so beautiful you cried? And reminder guys that this game is on both PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4, and so far all I've heard is that the PS3 version has longer loading times and has some resolution downscale. Basically there isn't any difference between the two, so pick a version and go for it. Also, the environments are super lively and it feels like a bustling city as compared to Persona 3 and 4 where there was like maybe 6 people on screen at once. The areas are bigger than past games, but not like super duper bigger, but there's a lot of things going on, and real talk, oh my god are they active, and such a massive step up. This is next gen if I ever did see it. But on top of the amazing visuals is the music. The OST gives the game so much life and it fits super well. Of course, obviously, music is a personal preference and I can totally understand people not digging the tunes, but considering the vibes in the story, the tracks work super well. Although, while I adore the instrumentals of this OST and those violins make me nut, some of the vocals of the songs kinda kill it for me. I don't know what it is, but something about them feels weak, in some of the tracks at least. Some of them are freaking great, like River in the Desert or Behind the Mask. The main battle theme, Last Surprise, is super great, but again, the vocals kinda hold it back in some areas. But this is just what I think. If you think the OST is the best ever, I can't tell you otherwise. It's music. There is no right or wrong answer, only preference. Personally, I love Persona 3's music the best, but that's because I like to get down and funky. But I have been listening to Persona 5's OST an awful lot, and none of the songs are annoying after hearing them for the 8th billionth time. Unlike Persona 4's Reach Out to the Truth, which grinded my ears until I wept. I'm not saying it's a bad song particularly, it just got really annoying after a while because I hate no thank you, I just couldn't take it. Basically, after a 110-hour playthrough, I still dance in my chair after beating a battle. That's a good sign the music is good, ta-da. But if you look at all aspects of Persona 5, its design, its gameplay, story, looks, everything, this is one stellar game, and I am so happy it was worth the wait. Playing a Persona game for the first time is really magical once you get into the groove. It just sucks you in, and it's the only thing you'll be able to talk about for a long time. Believe the hype, believe the praise. Persona 5 is great, and if you want to try to get into Persona, give this game a shot because everything about it is just so fun, stylish, and badass. I'm really curious as to how Atlus is going to top this installment because the game's thief concept and theme aesthetics are just, well, perfect. I honestly wouldn't mind being a Phantom Thief myself, as cheesy as that sounds, but I love this so much. So that kind of wraps up my non-spoiler talks, but I do plan on doing a spoiler video in the future once people have had a chance to beat the game, but that could be a while since I just beat it myself after playing it for 10 days straight. But until then, I hope you like my obsessive butt-licking over Persona 5, but please share your thoughts and feelings about the game. What's your favorite Persona? Your favorite OST? Your favorite waifu, dare I ask? Who is best girl? Who knows? Who knows? Give me all the deeds, do all the things. I'ma go drown in the color red. It's been real, guys. Toodles! Hey yo, welcome to the end of the video. Holy crap, did this game take a long time to beat, but I finally did it, and now here we are at the end of the video. Whippity-dippity-doo. Just want to do some shameless plugs here, guys, because, you know, I have other things other than a YouTube channel. I have a Twitch where you can see me play games live and interact with me and do all the things. That's a really fun place. I am there often. You should go hit that follow button. Also, follow me on Twitter if you care about updates or what's coming next. For realsies, follow me on Twitter. I don't know, stay in the loop, do the thing. YouTube sub button is still broken apparently, so, you know, follow me on Twitter, please. Alright, thank you. And the most shameful of all the plugs, this channel is sponsored by GameFly. GameFly is a great, cheap service to rent out new games instead of wasting $60 on trash you regret buying. Now, obviously, I think you should buy Persona 5. I think I made that pretty clear in the video, but there are tons of other games out right now. We have Nier Automata, Nihon, Horizon Zero Dawn, Yakuza 0. There are a lot of great games out right now, guys, and you could get a free rental with this 30-day free trial, so, you know, a $60 game for free. Keyword free. Use the link, be a smart consumer for once in your life, guys. Come on, do the thing, alright? Just for me, alright? Toodles, bye-bye, 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 bye.